This thing is insane and it blew my mind. What the is this? And what should I do with all those parameters? With the tools we use, evolution usually happens in either one of those two directions, in my opinion. Either it is having one type of tool that is already there and the developer is trying to make it sound better, and better is pretty random. You can put many things in there. It can be trying to do something more transparent, or in the opposite way, having more mojo, more flavor. Depending on what the developer tries to aim at, it's trying to push something for a better sonic result. That's one axe. The other axe usually is, in my opinion, trying to innovate. For example, we first had static EQs, then the innovation led to making dynamic EQs, and then the innovation led to create resonance suppressors. The tool I'm going to talk about today is a limiter, and it's actually doing none of them, or both of them. It's not trying to innovate limiting, it's just a broadband limiter doing level control. But the way it achieves that is by giving a level of granularity on the controls that has never been achieved before. It's giving the user the ability to really craft the tool in order to get it to work how he wants, and the how he wants can be either very transparent or very obvious. And it's giving you not one sonic sound as of the tool, but a palette, a variety of sounds. And it's not something like Pro L2 where you're gonna shift from one engine or one mode to another to get another sound. Here it's giving you a control for every micro element in order to get to that sound. It's even, I could see it like modular synthesis, but for limiting. Of course you can't patch things, everything is pre-patched, but it's that level of control. Basically, you are creating the way this plugin is sounding. You are crafting the way it is reacting to your music. The tool works with basic settings. You can just push the input gain and you're done. But that's not where the magic of the tool is. The magic is allowing you to really craft and make it react individually to every single aspect of a song you need. And this is, in my opinion, genius, but it's also daunting. It's kind of vertiginous. I'm still in the beginning of the learning curve, to be honest. I did test it quite in depth to see how it's reacting, either on transients, on sustained material, on low end, how the two channels are linked or unlinked in the stereo field. Is there crossbleed? How much harmonic distortion is it bringing? How does it bring this harmonic distortion? The thing is, there are so many parameters that it's impossible to just list this as doing this or that, because basically it can do, as I said, everything. It does limiting, but they have two stages of limiters. It does clipping. For example, Pro L2 and Limit 1 are both clippers under the hood and limiters. And this is a way to achieve controlled loudness, but they all work in a different way. Pro L is like clipper first, followed by the limiter. Limit 1 is kind of blend in between. Here you have something where it's content dependent, how you fix the settings and what part of the signal is being sent to either of those parameters. But let's dive into it. So what do we see when we open the plugin? This is the view we have. And while there are many other parameters we're going to talk later about, let's start with these main parameters. The first idea, which is pretty smart, is instead of having a big preset list, you start by picking one category of sonic behavior, and then you can adjust that to have something that is cleaner or louder. And under the hood, it's changing all the parameters, right, to achieve that. And so what I love out of the bat is that this plugin has gain match and delta, and these are for me the two main features when it comes to dynamic controlling tools, because you want to easily hear what they are taking off or adding to the signal, which is the importance of the delta. And you want to compare if what you're doing is really helping the sound, or how far can you push things before it collapses. And this is the moment where I have to step back a little bit, and doing so allows to control loudness without being fooled by the loudness, so you are sure that what you're doing is not harming the track. Other great thing is this little information button that gives you information when you hover the mouse on top of some buttons. And I think this is a way to learn also the plugin. You have the manual and you have extra informations with those help pop-up help boxes. How does it sound? Let's listen, gain matched, and start to push things. here we hear it's collapsing, right? Here I lose a bit of the punch, but I already pushed quite heavily. For the sake of this video, I'm going to push things further than what I would do in a normal mastering session, so you hear a bit better the character and the impact of what we are doing. Let's say this is a workable level. It's a bit too much, but as I said, it's for the sake of the exercise. We have like crazy amounts of gain reductions here. Peaks at like -7, -6. This is a lot. The track is very dynamic, so it's a good starting point to check out how a limiter can handle that. Let's listen to the delta to start. Let's close that window and let's listen to the delta. So what do we see now? We see that we have 3 bands, but actually this is not a multiband limiter, it's a broadband limiter. What's happening is that these are bands that are used for the detection signal that is triggering the gain reduction of the limiter. And so you can have different look-ahead times for each of those bands. And this is already a very nice approach because look-ahead is usually quite misunderstood and people see it only like playing the sound this amount of milliseconds before to get the compressor or the limiter time to kick in and to tackle all the transients, to not leave anything through. And while this is not totally false, it's quite reductive as approach. And I like to see it more like a tone shaping feature that is allowing to get smoother results, less harsh. And so how you could see it, to summarize it on a perceptory effect, is shorter look-aheads tend to have harsher results, more distorted results, resulting also in a sound that is more upfront. If you have very long look-ahead times, you have something where you like the punch. And so look-ahead times are very interesting in the way that they allow to find this balance between close and far, between clean and punch. So it's a yin and yang thing. What we can see here is actually that we have every band that you can adjust. You can solo every band to listen to it and to listen to the effect of the limiter on that band specifically. And you can link the look-ahead times. So if you hit shift and you move them, they all move together, but they respect the proportion between them. Let's start with something where we have the same settings everywhere. And I'm going to actually reset the limiter. I'm going to take out all the additional features for the moment. I reset it. So all bands are working at the same speed with the same look-ahead, and we're going to listen to the delta and to hear how look-ahead times impact the sonic behavior. You feel the difference here? You have something that is more crispy on the delta, a little bit more sizzly with very short look-ahead times, and a bit smoother with longer look-ahead times. Let's go for fast. Here, the transients are not grainy, and this is grainy. Let's listen to that on the sonic behavior. Much more transparent. And so you can already have this as a balance tool to find the best, what is the shortest look-ahead time you can get to preserve the punch without smoothing things out. And you can do this then now per band while listening to the band. I have some crispiness. It's not totally flat, but it's not grainy. That in between. About the look ahead, the smart way because everything is very smart, very brainy. Lookahead, as I showed, when too short creates distortion. The way this tool works is that when a transient hits, it's overriding the lookahead timing to change it with the one that you dialed in for the transients. It's an adaptive lookahead setting. This is brilliant. We start with no lookahead time, no transient override. I'm going to talk about this in a second. And I'm keeping the balance to fast. So what's happening here, if we listen to the delta, we have something very crunchy. Because the lookahead is very short. If I increase the lookahead, we hear the difference in tone linked to this smoothing happening thanks to the lookahead. Now, what's happening now when a transient hits? Well, we have a transient detection path. I'm going to dive more into depth in a second, but this is just what allows the limiter to say this is a transient and this isn't, with some sensitivity and other parameters. And as soon as we have transients detected, we can say that the lookahead here will have some override with a percentage. And when we do this, instead of applying the first lookahead we did set up, it's now applying the lookahead that we will set up for the transients. So, for example, as just as a case to hear it properly, no override, I have something smooth because we have a long lookahead. Right? Now when I add override, we have something clicky again because the transient length here is short. And so now we have a dual stage lookahead, a program dependent dual stage lookahead. And this is the beauty of it, with an amount of override. And so you can set for every band a specific lookahead. Of course, usually for higher frequency, you may want shorter lookahead times to catch more things. And usually you may want for transients to have shorter things as well to be more crispy. Of course, shorter lookaheads induce more distortion, but then it's how long is this distortion happening, and this will be all set up by the transient detection tool, but that's for later. Let's listen now to the impact of that. Let's A/B that. You feel there's something about a kind of presence and a punch that we lose when we don't have the transient override, because everything is smoothed out. And so in my impression, the best approach is actually having a lookahead that is just above the one that is creating distortion, and then going for things that are a bit shorter for the transients and adjusting the duration of those transients. And then adjusting how much override do you have. By how much is the change applied. You also have smoothing for the lookahead and smoothing of the lookahead time. It's a bit more grainy. This is a bit like sharper, and the smoothing is rounding edges. So this is also playing a role in the presence. This nice, gorgeous. Here I barely hear any difference now between the limiter happening, turned on and off. I could even say that there's a tiny edge that I like about this. And we are only scratching the surface. If you look at those indicators below low, mid and high, you will see when each of those bands is actually playing the significant role in the detection path. It's the displayed weighting of every band in the detection circuit. Next we have this fast and slow balance, because this limiter has not one limiter, it has not two limiters, it has two limiters and a clipper. And you can balance things. You can balance things between the fast and the slow limiter with this tool, but there are also some automatic shift that can be dialed in. But let's move to that. Let's listen to the delta. Fast, really catching the peaks and the transients. This is more leveling. You hear the tails, right? On the slow setting, I can adjust the release. And I can start to print some groove as well. And now I can find the balance between shaping just the peaks and giving that glue. Let's listen to the signal. More upfront, more in your face, more laid back. Obviously, having fast limiting allows higher loudness because you are recovering faster. But this is at the expense of a tone and distortion. And so if you look at the loss meter here, fast, now I'm going to slow, we lose a bit of loudness. And we feel the sound is getting a bit further away. This is the static part. We can now apply a part of the signal that goes through a clipper, and that you by default send a part of the signal to the fast limiter depending on the frequency. And this makes total sense because clipping low frequencies is usually not a good idea because it's making them more square. You're adding harmonics, and so the low end into a clipper becomes very obvious when it's clipped because it's saturated and you have the whole spectrum to hear the harmonic distortion that is added by the clipper, harmonic or even inharmonic depending on how it's working, if you have aliasing and these kind of things. And about the speed of the limiter and the clipper, it's the same approach. Is the higher you go, the more you can get away with some distortion. Being able to split the signal between a slow limiter, a fast limiter and a clipper depending on the spectrum allows you to get crispiness but without harshness. Let's listen to that. I would clip everything now. Crunchy, right? Transparent. Let's go for slow. And you hear it's not changing anything because even if I have the balance put on slow, all frequencies are set above 150 to be fast. Let's increase that to find something that is a bit more breathing. You hear now the meat parts are decaying more in the delta, right? This is really crispy, crunchy. This is bouncing. But I don't want it too much, a little bit. And now I'm going to dial in back the clipper. So I'm only clipping, for example, here the top end, things that are happening above 6 kilo. Let's listen. I'm even gaining some presence because of the tiny little clips. And this is the great thing about clipping top end. You're even gaining presence because the clipping is adding distortion. What's happening with clipping is you're shaving off the peak, but you're distributing the energy through frequencies. And so even if the peak is less prominent, you gain loudness, you gain headroom, you reduce the peaks, but they still feel present. Without the clipper, there is some tiny snap, right? Let's listen to delta. This is too much. Without limiter. Remember, I'm taking out more than 7 decibels of gain reduction at some moments here. It's insane. It's insane the amount of gain reduction that I'm applying here. And you can also, I forgot to say, you can zoom in to have really like detailed display of those gain reductions. So usually in mastering content, I would be displaying this or that. And you see also which part of the limiter is lifting the work. And you see now it's spreading the load between the slow limiter, the fast limiter, and the clipper. Let's now dive at the heart of this limiter and the automatic features or the program-dependent features. This goes further than the Lookahead and the transient detection. It's how the compressor will shift in behaviors depending on the audio material. To listen to that, I'm going to dial in the delta, and we're going to first open this window. That was the exact window that I was like, oh, what's happening in here? I have no clue. This is even another setting of a setting. Why? But it's pretty smart. Let's have a look. So we have first the two main elements here is auto to release and auto to balance. So I have to dial in some automatic behavior, and we're going to look at those two knobs, the release and the balance tool. I'm dialing a fair amount, and look, when I'm at 100% here, the release now is grayed out because the timing of the release is now fully controlled by the dynamic tool. If I'm at 99%, it's still a blend between what I set up here and the dynamic, but at 100% it's grayed out. So now that let's make it 100%. Now I can say how much is the auto control controlling the reads, because it's 100% here and 100% there, right? Let's play that. Look here, it's on fast behavior. What if I'll dial on slow? Now I see times are changing. So the limiter is adjusting the release time depending on the audio material and on those settings. But let's move step by step, right? So I'm adapting the release time. If I'm not at 100, it's going to make a blend between my value and the automatic behavior. This is for the release. Let's put the release at 0, and now look at the balance here. Let's put it at 100. And now the balance is grayed out. It means that the tool is automatically shifting from slow to fast limiter depending on the audio material. Let's try to dial things in. Let's say I like this slow fixed release time, and I'm gonna add a bit of control with that. To make it a bit more tight, it's a bit sharper. We're staying clean. Now what's about the fast one? And the balance between the two. Too fast is grainy. Now I get to the point where it's a bit clicky, but it's pretty tight. Let's listen to the audio material now. Zero. Let's A/B that one. You feel that we also here gain some presence without hearing really like distortion in the tails, but we're getting something that is quite compact and quite upfront. Let's compare with and without the limiter now. We lose a little bit of presence. I agree, but we are now above 7 decibels of gain reduction. It's even stronger, so I would definitely dial back on things here. Auto charge and auto discharge. This is to be seen as a smoothing because, of course, when we are shifting from one position to another, we are not doing this in no time. There needs some time to shift from one value to another, or there would be clicks and other issues. And so this is the smoothing of the movement. So if you have something very fast, you have something a bit jittery. And the more we add movement, it takes more time to and here we feel more the release. It's the time it takes to come back at the flat position. You feel the pumping here, yeah? Slow pumping. And here is and this sets a limit for the gain reduction by the slow limiter, which means then it's gonna go with the fast limiter for heavier duties. So no gain reduction. So here the slow can take whatever it wants, and you stay longer in the slow part. And this 0 decibels, so nothing is limited by the slow. The fast is taking everything. Now what we can do is also add this clip attack, which allows a part of the signal to go through the limiting stage to just enter the clipper. Clip attack allows an automatic amount of balance between the clipping stage and the limiting stage. And you see this button now allows to say how much. So do we clip nothing? I mean nothing except what we said here. Or do we clip a lot? Let's listen to the delta. Of course, this is much more grainy, much more transparent. Just that little bit. Let's listen. This out. It's like we would have a very tiny transient designer. You have those little sparkles, as I said earlier, with the setting the clipper, clipping the top end. It's, in my impression, it's bringing everything like a centimeter or two more forward. The transients feel more transient while they are clipped because of everything I said earlier. This is rounder. So if we do an AB now, I don't have the feeling I had before when I said it was over limiting. When I was not applying the clipping of the attacks, I felt the sound being pushed a bit backwards, and I felt I was pushing too far. Here we feel we are losing a little bit of that presence, but with the clipping of the attacks, without the limiter, we quite have that. So I think this is a very, very neat approach between choosing which frequencies you are doing and which timing of the signal is getting through the clipper to allow a proper control of those transients and to squash the dynamics with retaining some of this psychoacoustic presence. When it comes to limiters and clippers, one very important aspect is how accurate are they, or not, depending what you're after, on that ceiling you are setting. And the way Uni-L handles this question is pretty smart. You have oversampling on the clipper that is happening on the audio signal, that is allowing you to be more accurate and to avoid aliasing. And then you have also a true peak limiter that's happening at the end of the chain to prevent the overs, but this one is oversampling the detection signal and not the audio signal. So it's not creating the need of additional downsampling filters. Let's try to show what's happening in plugin Doctor. So if I'm clipping everything, I'm clipping like crazy, right? Clipping everything or a lot. And we see the intermodulation distortion happening. If I'm oversampling the clipper directly, this is getting much lower because the oversampling reduces the aliasing. And you see that actually above ×4, there is not a big difference in the sonic result, at least not in a static way as shown here. But between the 4 and the 1, this is a massive difference. The impulse response change, so the pre-post ringing that is added is super low, and it's depending on the amount of clipping that is happening. So when no clipping happening, the impulse response is perfectly flat, so it's totally respecting all the tiny mini details in the transients. So to push this further, I also did some delta test between the oversampling of the clipper and the non-oversampling version, so summing 2 units, 1 polarity flipped, and the difference is self-explanatory. It's the same as what we saw in plugin Doctor. There is a difference that is audible between ×1 and ×4, and as soon as you get above ×4, the difference is really ridiculous. So the core concept is really this serial signal flow going from slow limiter with release control for the average levels, into fast limiter for the peaks, into the clipper for the last tiny bits. That's really the flow, and that balance between fast and slow limiter that can be either static or dynamic, linked to the program material. And so the flexible transients detector and the adaptive timings linked to the audio material allows it to really change the shape and the settings of the limiter depending on the audio material. It's a program dependent limiter, yet being true peak with safety nets. And this is really the beauty of it. And it's doing this not in a black closed box way, but in a way where you as a user have the choice to tweak everything to get it to react as much transparent or as desired, because as I just showed with the clipper, sometimes transparency is not totally what you want, or actually you creating some artifacts make it more transparent or retain the original qualities of the audio by drifting, by shifting the peaks through harmonies. About the low band, there's a little catch, because, and here we are in this extra control mode. Well, as said, it's a single band compressor. It's not totally true. The last band, the lower one, is used not only for the detection but also for this multiband action, where you can decide to split the lows and the percentage of splitting there is for that specific band. Let's now dive into the slow limiter release times. So basically you have the release shaping happening here that is applying to the slow limiter part, and the way it works is you have the choice between two basic curves. The way you hear it and I see it is classic is more straightforward and is shorter. The classic is shorter, like exponential, while modern is longer and it feels more linear. This reminds me of kind of Lopez gate, you know, vectoral behavior, very short. While modern is more linear. Then we have the curve that we can bend, bending that first initial shape. Here you feel the bump and then the slow, the bump and then the fast decay. And here you feel it's more linear. And so this is making the classic becoming more linear to my ears, because we are counterbalancing the linear and the exponential curve, the logarithmic and the exponential curves. My take is that if you are for more louder things, classic might be good and modern might be more transparent, but it's more leveling out things out. It's less bouncy. Classic feels more pumping. And this is again a question of choice. This is great. You have really like granular control on that. Do you want your limiter to pump or not? And then there's the soft hold. And this is a period of time where the limiter will be holding the release before dropping, even if the sound goes below the threshold. The soft hold works for both the slow and the fast release. changes a bit the tone of the fast release, and on the slow one it's really adding sustain. Let's listen without the delta. Let's pay attention to the drum rolls in the low end. Tugudugudu. With no hold, they are really like in your face. With the hold, the first is triggering and then it's lagging a bit. So it's less aggressive, but it's less present. Now let's add the band split to have the lower band working as a separate limiter. Let's listen to that. You hear we have less low end when we split the lows here. Without, you hear more low end in the delta. And this is a good or bad thing. The difference I hear is lows that are a bit more clean, so to say. But in this case, I like the fact that without the split, we have very upfront bass. With the split band, it's cleaner, but somehow it's less in your face. So this is really a matter of shaping really in detail the tone. And this is really what I believe is beautiful about this tool, is you can really go in either direction. You are not locked by design. You are designing the way it handles the sound. I guess it's that most of you didn't made it so far, so I'm gonna try to speed up for the last bits. Let's talk about the last remaining bits. Stereo linking. Well, the smart thing about Uni-L and other limiters do the same is that you can decide to link or not the transients and the release for the stereo field. Usually, if you are for the extreme loudness at any cost, then you might want to unlink things so that you don't have limiting happening on one side when another is limiting, and so you can really like squeeze the last bits. One traditional approach is to have more linking in the sustained parts than in the transients, so you can let the track breathe a little bit more, yet you don't have swaps in the stereo field. The stereo field form feels more consistent because both sides are leveled in a similar way. So this is a traditional approach, I think, that you can do also in Pro L2. The smart thing is that you have the linked lows, and this is very smart because this is what you want at any cost to avoid driftings in your stereo image in the lows. And so you can choose to activate that feature, and doing so the detection of the lows will be the same for the left and the right, and so you have a leveling on the stereo image that stays the same. Transient detection, I'm going to do this as briefly as possible. Basically, this is the core of what's going to apply to the Lookahead and the transient. So and also I didn't talk about this transient part, Jesus. So this will define what is a transient and what isn't, depending on the sensitivity, so by an outlier amount, and giving a certain length for those transients. So what is the length that is considered as a transient, that will be then used both here for the transient limiter and for the Lookahead here. You can have a filtering of that sidechain. You can listen to that. You can choose to have no filter in the detection circuit or having both of them. So you just use part of the signal to detect transients. You can choose to soften the transients that are detected, so it's rounding things out. And for the sensitivity and duration, you have some even more settings. The main one for me is where are you picking the transients, and for me it makes sense to have this in the mid, because then you use the sum and it's really like for everything that is hitting, and you can leave maybe something that are more stereo side information that are less essential. You can leave them out of the detection, so you avoid the limiter to be triggered by things that can be like outlier transients. You just focus on the main percussive transients for the what is in the rhythm in the center, in the mid part. The size of the detection window, many other things. I mean, this video is already crazy long, so let's drop that out for the moment. So by playing with this, you can choose how much transients goes into the fast limiter, and this gives something that is more upfront, more crisp, because the fast limiter is reacting faster. And then you can choose also which part goes to the clipper. And so increasing this will give more bite, because more of the transients get clipped. And so this is really like the last tunnel shaping of that transient peak. Clip. More to the fast limiting. Less to the clipper. And the boost, depending on the threshold. And while this might feel at first like counterproductive, boosting things to clip them, it's a pretty standard approach at mastering stage to increase transients before the final limiting part, whether it is using tools like Spiff or Unlimiter, Spiff from Sound or Unlimiter and Ozone. There is an actual trend that goes into that direction, and with Uni-L it totally makes sense, because then you can also control all those peaks through the clipper and through the fast limiter to really shape the tone of those transients, both in length, both in crispiness, in dirtiness, in thickness. And so if I had to summarize, for me, Uni-L is not just a limiter. Yes, it does limiting, but it's more of a loudness increasing tool that is also an outlier peaks transients controller, but not only in terms of volume, in terms of texture, in terms of shape. It's really like a tone, transient, and loudness shaper. This is how I would like to summarize that. And it's in a way something totally unique. So I'm coming back to the beginning of my video, because it's not creating a new limiter. It's not giving you different tonal modes like presets or colors like you would have on Pro L2, where you are different engines. Here, as a user, from start to finish, you are in control through all those tiny parameters. You are in control in order to really craft the texture through the loudness that you want. Okay, so this is crazy long, and I didn't cover everything so far. So if you have questions, or if you want me to do a sequel and to dive even further into the things that I missed, please let me know in the comments. I'm not sure there would be many people looking for that type of information, so I will not start doing this if I don't see that there is a real traction and a real interest to spend more time diving in depth of the remaining bits of this incredible tool. I hope you liked it. As always, let me know in the comments, leave a little like, subscribe to the channel if you're not doing this yet, it helps me. And see you soon for more. Take care and bye-bye.